Welcome back. Eric Litweiler from MHA joins us now. MHA, as you will recall, is Mental Health Association of South Central Kansas. I can't say that without spitting. It just comes out that way. You sent me an email today talking about the Great American Smokeout is coming up when?
I'm honestly not sure when it falls in November. I know it's during the month of November, so I figured it was a good topic, but I couldn't tell you what day off the top of my head.
Okay. I remember the Great American Smokeout because my dad every year used to have some kind of a gimmick that he would take with him to the restaurant because they were in the restaurant business. And he would make an effort, and it was a sincere effort to quit smoking. But it never worked out very well because by the end of the day, he was in such a foul mood that my mother was lighting cigarettes for him, going, here. So, but it's a great thought.
Yeah, it's a great idea. We talk about it a lot at MHA because there's such a strong correlation between, obviously, mental and physical health. And so things like, depression and anxiety have a very strong correlation to things like lung cancer and heart disease. One's physical and one's mental, but there's such a close correlation that our programs at MHA, one of them is designed specifically as a smoking cessation program, not because if you smoke you have a mental health issue, but just because of that correlation that exists between the two.
Well, if you try to quit smoking, you do have a mental health issue.
Well, you might be upset. I'm not sure that quite qualifies, but I see what you're saying, yeah.
But like you said, physical and mental health are related. And anytime you can improve one or the other, the other is going to benefit as well.
Well, that's absolutely right. I mean, one of the things I find fascinating and scary is that people living with mental illness tend to die on average about 25 years younger than those who don't. And the fact that there is a 70% greater chance of someone with a mental illness smoking plays a huge part in that. That smoking just shortens your life expectancy. And, I've heard people who hear that stat and then the response is, well, then I don't want to go, see a therapist or psychiatrist because they'll tell me I have a mental illness. But my thing is, whether you have it or not doesn't change the fact that you have it. And at least if you know, you can do something, get treatment for it, and hopefully avoid that 25-year loss of your life.
Right.
So, people should still be getting diagnosed. They should still be getting treatment. This correlation, I talked about the 70% greater likelihood of people with mental illness smoking really comes from an effort to kind of self-medicate. It calms my nerves, like you're with your dad, it calms my nerves, so I'm going to smoke. But if we can get people to, we're looking not only at the mental health issues they present with, but where do those come from?
Yeah.
So whether the smoking is a cause or an effect, if we can address one, we can probably address the other and really get people back on the path to good mental health.
Now, which came first, the chicken or the egg?
Right, exactly.
And it doesn't really matter,
No, it doesn't. Yeah. That's exactly right.
When I was 15, my best friend Cindy started smoking. So anything Cindy did was cool. So of course I had to.
Yeah.
And I tried to smoke. Well, I couldn't inhale.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it. It would choke me up too badly.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it. So I didn't get very far. So one day she and I are sitting in a restaurant and we got through eating and she lights up a cigarette.
Yeah.
So I reach in my purse and I pull my cigarettes out and I tossed them across the table to her and I said, "Here, I quit." And she laughed at me. She said, "You can't quit. You never started." I said, "It's the perfect time to quit."
It has always seemed really counterintuitive to me to purposefully inhale directly large quantities of smoke.
Right.
I mean, if you're around a bonfire and the wind is blowing the smoke that way, we move.
Yeah, exactly.
Why would you purposefully? But I think a lot of people, when they start, they run into that same situation. You inhale and then you're coughing and sputtering. But whatever.
But you just keep right on
some
doing it.
people do just keep right on going. That's absolutely right. And whatever their motivation is, I couldn't even begin to hypothesize. I've never touched a cigarette in my life, and I have no intention of doing so. But it's out there. We're not going to get anywhere by denying that smoking is an issue, and we're not going to get anywhere by denying that our mental health issues exist. If we can address one, hopefully address them all, because it's not just the root cause, it's what comes from it as well. And so we've really got to the bottom of where this comes from. And I'll tell you, one of these days we'll have the guy who oversees our smoking cessation program in there. The things he knows about smoking would knock your socks off.
Oh, Ron used to do surgical photography.
Oh,
And
he's
he-
seen some lungs probably?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he said that alone should scare people off from smoking
Yeah.
because that's nasty.
I can only imagine, yeah.
Yeah.
But one of the things he's learned that our Alberto, the guy at MHA, said, you can't force people. You're not going to
No.
fix it by hounding them. You're not
No.
going to fix them by guilting them or shaming them or whatever it is. We encourage them, but we try to kind of find them when they're ready. And when they're ready, whatever causes that motivation to be ready, we want to be there to provide resources to them. But if we have a consumer who's seeing a psychiatrist on a weekly basis and we know that they smoke, he's not going to be calling that person every week. Oh, I saw you were in today and you were smoking out in the parking lot. Let's talk.
Yeah.
That's not going to work. When they're ready, they'll come to us,
Yeah.
and we want to provide the support for that. But until that time, there's no point in hounding them.
Any kind of self-help really has to be self-motivated.
Absolutely.
If it's not important to you, then you're not going to do the work that
Yeah.
it takes to get it done.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
you're right. It has to come from within. Otherwise, why bother?
Yeah, yeah. And those people might, they might already be receiving services at MHA, and so they know about our smoking cessation program. They might be referred by other parties, a homeless shelter or, a food pantry or, a supervisor at work or whoever it could be. But the point is, we need to really make the population here in Wichita aware that we have that program. So hopefully people listening who know someone who maybe wants to quit, maybe someday they will want to quit, knows that they can call us, and our smoking cessation program is there and available. They don't have to have a mental illness to take advantage of the program. I want to be clear about that.
Yeah.
Point is, that program is there, and while it exists within the MHA umbrella to serve our consumers, it serves everybody. We
Yeah.
all need that sometimes.
So, are there other methods? I mean, are there multiple methods that they use for smoking cessation?
I'm sure that there are from a
Yeah.
clinician standpoint. I couldn't tell you what they are, but I know in the broad scheme, it's really just understanding where the motivation to smoke came from and talking you through why do you want to quit and how can we help you quit. It's going to be different for every person, but all of our services are. So,
Well, Eric, always a pleasure. Thanks for joining us today.
thank you.
And we'll be right back with Brian.